Hey everyone, Pushing Up Roses here, and today I will be discussing one of my favorite episodes of The Golden Girls. Yay! I spent a lot of time at my grandparents' house growing up. I probably didn't even need to tell you that, considering the things I love the most and discuss on this channel are things everyone's grandparents love. Murder, She Wrote, Agatha Christie, Perry Mason, Roger Whittaker, things of that nature. Unrelated, but Roger Whittaker looks strangely similar to my dad. They were both really in tune with their love of oversized aviator glasses. I loved watching television with my grandparents so much that my aunt, who lived with them at the time, recorded a few things for me. This beautiful tape from the early 90s holds 2 episodes, one from Carol and Company, a comedy sketch show by hilarious icon Carol Burnett, and an episode of The Golden Girls called Henny Penny, Straight No Chaser. Admittedly, I was a little young to be watching this show, but it started a lifelong love for it and all of its actresses. This is what I would call a shenanigans episode, meaning it doesn't really have a moral or a deeper message. That is something I always liked about The Golden Girls, though. They have a great number of episodes that are based around pure humor, and many that cover heavier subject matter, especially around the topics of age and relationships. The writers never really went into very special episodes, which are more so one-offs that are, in my opinion, poorly written with a flimsy message that comes across as desperate instead of earnest. The Golden Girls interspersed heavy topics among the lighthearted ones, giving the characters depth and personality. But anyway, I don't know why I'm going into that, because this is one of the goofier episodes, and hey, you gotta have some wacky things, so the serious moments are all the more. Also, the ladies dress up as birds. Birds! It is spring vacation in Miami, and Blanche is explaining to Sophia and Dorothy that she needs to buy new t-shirts for the upcoming wet t-shirt contest, as she has run out. I'm sure we've all been there. Dorothy happily exclaims that she's looking forward to spring break because the school she teaches at is putting on a play, and she will be producing the first grade production. She then says the kids will be performing the folktale Henny Penny, more commonly known as Chicken Little in the US, which she refers to as a childhood favorite. Okay, who the hell's favorite fairy tale is Henny Penny? Blanche exhibits a microscopic amount of enthusiasm.
This is all you have, Dorothy, so I'm going to be happy for you.
So if you're not familiar with this story, it's about a chicken who believes the sky is falling and will end civilization as we know it. She invites her friends, a goose and a turkey, to accompany her while they journey to warn the king. But they do not make it because they are tricked and promptly eaten by a fox. There are happier endings to this, of course, but most of the time they just end up fox chow. The phrase, "the sky is falling," from the tale has been used in many things throughout history, including that beloved classic, King's Quest VII.
The sky is falling! The sky is falling!
Where is a fox when you need one? Blanche doesn't really enjoy Henny Penny as she has an affinity for princes. Princes with big, hard, cod pieces.
Handsome men with deep dark eyes and powerful thighs and muscles and big old cod pieces.
There's a bit of a mini plot, as is the norm for a lot of sitcoms, where a jilted lover of Blanche writes an obituary about her in the paper, claiming that not only did she die, but she was 68.
Blanche Devereaux, age 68. 68?
She is, of course, more concerned about the incorrect age over the being dead thing and gets pretty salty. I mean, I don't mind being dead as long as I'm young. Wait. Speaking of death, the show as a whole was pretty lighthearted about it, Sophia especially, as she is the oldest and most aware of her mortality. She's seen reading the obituaries and celebrating everyone she's outlived. It's strangely funny, if not a little morbid.
83, close one.
The next day, the director of the play stops by and informs Dorothy and the cast that the play has been quarantined because one of the students came down with the measles. People, vaccinate your kids. He says they may have to cancel, but Dorothy insists on recasting it with adults instead. The director is like, now where are we going to find an adult with the naivety and childlike nature of Henny Penny?
You're not gonna believe it. I just saw a cloud that looked exactly like a cotton ball.
My God, she is Henny Penny.
Rose agrees to play the lead, alongside Blanche, who is cast as Goosey Lucy, how appropriate, and Dorothy, who will be playing Turkey Lurkey. Rose is hesitant at first because she doesn't like the violent ending of the play. This is the only conflict in the plot, and it gets resolved almost immediately. Dorothy manages to talk her into it for the sake of the children. I do like the non-violent fairy tales Rose suggests that were apparently told in St. Olaf, her zany hometown.
We had fairy tales in St. Olaf that weren't violent, and they had positive role models. Like Gus in the recliner.
Okay, but I really do want to hear what happened in Gus in the recliner. I hope he's able to achieve lumbar support. Normally the conflict would play over the course of an episode, but not in this one. In this one, half of it is singing anthropomorphic feathered beasts.
After all, a chicken once saved my life.
They are the stupidest birds.
Excuse me, we're gonna pause here because I feel compelled to inform you that chickens are very intelligent. Rose is always being ridiculed for being brought up on a farm and expressing affection for her chickens, but she's right about their intelligence and personalities. Chicken fact: chickens can learn basic math, have object permanence, and they are manipulative little shits that know how to get things. Thank you for coming to my TED Squawk. Meanwhile, we get an update on Blanche's death situation. After a small retraction is published in the paper, she is sent flowers by one of her many male suitors, Mel Bushman.
Flowers for Blanche Devereaux?
Oh, no, that's Devereaux. It's only pronounced Devereaux in limericks.
I did not understand this joke when I was young, but now that I do, I think it is utterly brilliant. Takes a tiny bit of extra thought, but it is so on point. Okay, time for the play. When I was young, I would rewind this part over and over because I loved it so much. I even remember the song to this day because of how many times I repeated it. I don't know why I'm stating this so proudly, but surely it will impress at least one of you. A piece of blue sky just fell on my head. The wherefore and why is best left unsaid. But I have a hunch, and it's appalling. But like it or not, the sky is falling. Thank you, thank you. These actresses are all total stage pros, especially Bea Arthur, who had a prominent career in theater. I love hearing her sing and seeing the other women perform as well, and there are several episodes that feature this. Not quite to the degree of this one, but every now and then the Golden Girls really showcases the talent of these legends. I can even recall an episode from an earlier season where all the girls are in a play, and the plot centered around that, but the play wasn't really shown. You can tell everyone involved in this Henny Penny production had a really fun time. Betty White is freakishly good at portraying a chicken, and Blanche's costume, I mean, what can I say? It's sexy wexy. Bea's turkey is definitely the best. I love her little colorful vest and the fact that she's reading a book, and this shuffle is masterful. This is quality bird walking. Even when the ladies are in bulky, feathered outfits, they're still amazing and clearly giving this performance 110%. My favorite part is how Dorothy delivers this specific lyric.
Help! Disaster is near. Help!
We're trembling with fear.
Help. The outlook is drear.
That deep little help gives me life. As Rose, Blanche, and Dorothy perform on stage, Sophia is actually on the sidelines narrating. It looks like she came straight out of a King's Quest game. The play goes really well. If I were a first grader, I would have loved this performance. The characters, of course, all get eaten by Foxy Loxy, but at the last minute, Rose comes out and makes a plea to the children, telling them to clap their hands if they want to save them, as though this was frickin' Peter Pan or something.
Come on, put your little hands together.
Not a single peep is heard from the young audience. They're just kind of like, yeah, the birds get eaten. We're cool with this. We accept this.
Clap, you miserable. Come on, honey, let's get it over with.
Despite Rose's brief lapse of sanity, the play brought in great reviews. Blanche, who is still considered dead by most, decides that life is too short, so why not go to the bar wearing a slutty goose costume?
Spring break comes but once a year.
This was a mostly silly episode, but as I said earlier, it really highlights the talents of these three women. There wasn't a lot of Sophia in this one, as she wasn't really in the play, but there is a tiny little side plot that shows her in an overseas chess game with somebody back in Sicily. It doesn't bring a lot to the episode, but it does give me this quote, which I use anytime someone asks me why I'm doing something that makes me angry.
Mom, why do you keep playing this game if you hate her so much?
To relax.
This was also the finale for season 6. I suppose if you're gonna go out with a cluck? The whole Blanche is dead thing was kind of weak, if I'm honest. It didn't really pose much of a conflict, and Rose's issue with the downer ending to Henny Penny was also not much of a problem, but I'm okay with that. It's really not very common you see mature women in situations specifically like this, dressing up as weird bird beasts and singing and dancing in a sprightly manner. Not only do the women in the Golden Girls have an active sex life, jobs, and long-term friendships, as I talked about more in depth in my previous video, they also make time to do extracurricular activities, and not only do they do them, they slay at them. I think that's a message in itself, even if the episode wasn't meant to be very deep. Older women don't always have to be the wise matriarch or portrayed as meek women who sit around knitting and being grandmotherly and sweet. Sometimes they can just go out and have fun. Kind of reminds me of my grandma, though her idea of fun was swearing and gambling. Much like Sophia, now that I think about it. Even though there are a lot of episodes that showcase the women performing in some way, as in singing, dancing, or acting, I still think this one is a standout. The other episodes usually have a longer conflict, but in this one, about a third of the episode is just performance. I mean, they show the whole play from beginning to end. I think the writers were very much aware of the actresses they were working with and definitely played to their strengths. I also don't think you need to see many episodes of this show in order to enjoy this one. It's just a fun time for all, so I definitely recommend it. Season 6, Episode 26, Henny Penny Straight No Chaser.
And though he may refuse the news we must fly and try to warn the king.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching my review of Henny Penny Straight No Chaser. If you're interested in my last video on the Golden Girls, I will link it at the end of this video, but first, have you heard about Patreon? Yes, Patreon.